It's
awesome.
my cat. I have a kitten and she is insane. So she might be bouncing around in the background, but
No worries. I mean, we can go ahead and get started, but I was gonna tell you, my mom has a cat, and literally in the middle of the night, it's like he comes over and just like if she doesn't wake up, he puts his paw like on her face gently, like and like shoves her to try to like wake her up.
like
It's the
what
most
was
hilarious thing.
they're all the same then. They all do
Yeah,
that. That's funny.
yeah. So, anyways, you said you were working out
I
earlier
was,
today.
yes. Yeah.
What'd you train today?
We hit legs. So what's on the menu for a bikini girl?
Yeah, yeah. So is that how many times do you hit legs a week?
Right now we're at 3. I don't know if that will change since we're entering kind of an off season, but
Hmm.
for now, 3.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, I guess just to start off, like, how did you, if you want to talk about how you even got into like training as, did something happen in your life or was it just something that you've always done?
Honestly, I would say it's a mix of both, kind of to try to make a long story short.
Hmm.
I grew up a competitive gymnast and cheerleader, and then I
Okay.
played lacrosse in college. So there was always some type of at least like physical activity in my life.
Yeah.
But I was never one. My dad would try to get me to go to the gym with him, and I was like, I'm not doing that. That I did my conditioning at practice. I don't need to go and do anything extra. I've done what I needed to. And then after college, I feel like I kind of needed something. Once sports were over, I was like, oh, shoot, that actually did really help kind of mentally keep me sane and
Hmm.
sound. So, like most people, I ended up in the gym just starting out doing random like YouTube workouts that I found or Instagram workouts that I found. And then it just kind of progressed and developed from there. And um, just like I feel like most people, when you kind of go through something in life, you find some type of vice. And thankfully, my vice has always been to lean into training. So I think every time I've had something occur in my life, I've leaned deeper and deeper into training, and it just helped grow that love for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like that's, you mentioned as advice, like I get what you're saying, but it's honestly like the best outlet that you can really have. There's nothing better. People get into such states of like depression and like even, abuse of things and stuff like that. And it's like if you can just train instead, I mean, honestly, you can overcome like any situation that happens in your life because the reaction to whatever the problem is just to get, you know, more training, get better, fit, healthier. It's like all the positive things that will pull you out of that, especially if you're going through something mentally, like training really helps with that.
100%, even if that's like the only thing you can do that day, because there was times where that was. I was like, okay, if I can just at least get up and get out of bed and go to the gym, I can take a win for the day today.
Yeah.
So it is huge to be able to do that.
Was it something, and feel free not to speak about it if you don't want to. Was it something in particular that was going on that like you had, some difficulties with, or just in a general sense?
Honestly, it's kind of been more so in a general sense, but I think
Hmm.
a lot of, I really started leaning more so into training in that respect and like that regards when I was around like 19, 20. I
Hmm.
grew up with a very rocky and kind of crazy childhood. And I think it was just at that point, it was really all hitting me and I started to become an adult. So I started to um deeper or get a deeper understanding for what had actually occurred and more things were coming out and it was very it definitely dampened down my mood for sure because I didn't have that same outlet that I used to have in terms of sports. I had so much free time between college classes, trying to get closer to my family, only to realize it was way crazier than I had thought it was. And then I have had just some kind of crazy
Yeah.
things. After that, I have had been in kind of like not so great relationships. So then it
Sure.
became trying to struggle and cope with those things. I had to turn to the, not had to, but luckily I got to turn to the gym. And at those
Mm.
times where it was like truly pretty bad. And I'm grateful that I had my gym
Yeah.
community to kind of go to.
Did it help you pull you through those, bad relationships?
For sure. I think, especially my most recent one, which was like a little over a year ago. That was probably the worst mentally I'd ever been doing and the worst relationship I'd ever been in. It truly changed me as a person.
Mm,
And if it wasn't for two very specific people at my gym, I genuinely don't know if I would be alive today. I don't know that I would have gotten out of that relationship in one piece. And
mm.
that just goes to show like how deep relationships you can kind of build with people at the gym when you share that same common
Yeah.
interest.
Yeah. That's a sad situation to be in too. Yeah, I work in the medical field and I'll have patients that have dealt with like different abuse from relationships. A lot of times it's women. I've never had a man, but I mean it can happen to a man, I guess. And it's really sad that that people have to go through such situations because you can really see how it tears them, down. And you kind of see people that have maybe like in your sense where they kind of bounce back and kind of overcame it even though it was difficult, and others that have kind of allowed it to destroy them, to say I don't
Absolutely.
if that's the best way to put it. And so it's a real life lesson, when you see stuff like that. So
For sure, for sure.
yeah. But as far as your competitive career, I know you said you started to train and all that. When did you decide that, okay, well, I'm going to move training into actually competing? Because it's a little different. A lot of people train, but not everybody steps on stage. So, like, what made you decide to do that?
Yeah. So I think this was back in 2021, 2022. I was just graduating nursing school. Same thing. I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm in the real world and I have actual time on my hands outside of like, I don't have to worry about studying for 14 hours a day. So I started going to
Mm-hmm.
the gym at different times, rather than like my 4 a.m. And I kept running into the same couple of people who were doing shows and I was kind of interested.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends at the time, she had decided, hey, I'm going to do an OCB show. So I watched her throughout her whole entire prep. I went, supported her at her show, and I sat there, I was like, holy crap, this looks so cool. And just
Mm-hmm.
getting to train with her throughout, I was like, I mean, this is the way I'm training anyways. So I figured, let me reach out to her coach, see if she thinks I have what it takes or if it's possible, what is entailed in all of this. And that's kind of where that stemmed from. It was a real old school, like Gold's type gym. So I got
Uh-huh.
to see a lot of people, even though some of them were well into their 50s, 60s, you hear about them talking about it. And then getting to see it through one of my friends was kind of the icing on the cake. And I was sold right away.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes you just kind of fall in love with it, And like you said, you were already training like that. That's kind of like my situation too. It's like I was already training kind of like a bodybuilder and building a physique like that. And it was just a matter of, like it was just a matter of a few tweaks to get me to the next step. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So so why bikini? Did you just feel like that was the structure that you were kind of like gifted with to be in, or were you ever considering like trying to build more muscle and go into like a different division, anything like that?
So, I mean, when I started, I honestly had no idea what any other divisions were other than bikini because my friend had done bikini. So, when I reached out to that specific coach, I was like, hey, I want to do a bikini competition. We didn't really talk further about, other divisions or categories or anything else I could kind of jump into. And following that prep, I had left that coach and gone to a different coach. And I talked to him. I was like, you know what? That was when I was a lot more knowledgeable of the sport. And I started to see like Franciel. I'm like, that is beautiful. I was like, I want to do
Mm-hmm.
that. I think I'm going to be able to do that. But in my mind, I didn't know that sometimes that's going to take a little bit more PED use and things like that. So I started training at least for wellness. And it wasn't until recently that with my current coach now, we kind of did a call when I was onboarding with her. And she's like, I mean, we could do that, but you're still going to have to stay away from the stage for another probably like 5 years if you want to do it. Or we could just go with the fact that you have the shape and structure for bikini and kind of ride with that. And so that's kind of how that happened.
Yeah, yeah, it's it's a tough decision to make because it's like if you go the route of like pushing the envelope with the PEDs and waiting, it's like it's you kind of don't get the visceral like satisfaction of being on stage for a while. So it's like, and
Yep.
you also kind of you lack the experience because you're not stepping on stage. So, so yeah, and it makes sense that you were like, hey, let me just go with what I have or what I can, build into easier and then get that experience and, and progress there. So, so are you thinking you ever will go to something different or no, you're probably going to stay where you're at?
Yeah, I am like so sold on bikini now.
Okay.
After this past season, I know what my structure kind of looks like. I know what it would
Hmm.
take to grow into wellness and just seeing how my body has responded to protocols both in season and off season. I think that I'm very much bikini, so
Hmm.
I'm gonna stick with it for sure.
So talk about this last season. You said that how the season went. Can you give us like a rundown of, what happened?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I started prep back in April of this year.
Hmm.
My coach actually, you had her on before, Brittany, Justice Holloman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awaken
Yeah.
Physique.
Hmm.
So we had started back then. She was like, listen, since we're natural, we need to take it a little bit longer, a little bit
Hmm.
slower. We really need to be creative with what levers we can pull. So I didn't do my first competition until October. So um,
Hmm.
April to October, just grinding, doing what I needed to do. We went to the Dave Lieberman show in Ohio, the
Yeah.
Natural Ohio.
Hmm.
That was beginning or middle of October, and that was incredible. That was not my first time on stage, but there had been 3 years in between the last time I was on stage and this time. And the reason I left my previous coach was because I was ghosted on show day. So I ate like all my meals and drank like a gallon and a half of water. So it just, to me, it was a really great, like, cool. I got to say I did it, but it did not feel the same way that any of the shows this season, like, it feels like this was my rookie season
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
in a way because she just does not play around. Like
Hmm.
everything is super structured, which I geek out on. It's amazing. So we went, took the overall there, won all of my classes, and
Amazing.
then we qualified for the Ben Weeders. So back in a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we went to Ben Weeders. I made first call outs, got third in my class. Um,
Amazing.
and
Great.
so I could not have been happier with how, to me, my first full season kind of went.
That's a strong, strong season. But before we get into that, I want to go back to the point. You said you got ghosted on show day by your coach.
Yes.
How did that go down? Did you just show up and they weren't there? Were they supposed to be there? Or did they just stop responding? Like what happened?
So she was located in New York and I was competing here in Massachusetts.
Hmm.
I knew from my friend kind of at least the rough idea of how things should have gone on show day in terms of you're supposed to check in the morning and kind of touch base with her every now and again. She was allegedly supposed to be watching
Hmm.
via the live stream to kind of at
Hmm.
least keep her eye, tell me how things might be looking.
Yeah.
Morning of show, I checked in with her and she's like looking great, awesome, like good luck today. Kind of just left it at that. So I'd reach out to her. I'm like watching other girls around me. I'm like, people aren't eating, but I typically eat 5 meals in a day. So I guess I'll just let me text her and see.
Right.
No
Right.
response. So I was like, okay,
Hmm.
I guess I'll do it. It's whatever, not a big deal. I don't think. Sitting there drinking my water as I normally would, not knowing anything about what a true peak was, because even my peak week wasn't anything super, detail
Right.
oriented. It was just like, here's some cod and 16 almonds. That's all you get for 5 meals a day, and you should be good. So it was interesting. I didn't hear from her again until like 9 o'clock that night. I had gotten fourth, which I have no idea how I even placed at that show, given the physique that I brought.
Hmm.
But she was like, that's kind of where I figured you'd ended up, but like really great first show, and kind of left it at that. I was like, girl, I
Uh-huh.
have not heard from you all day.
Yeah, that's terrible. I hate to hear that because that puts like such a bad taste in people's mouths as far as like coaches and stuff like that. It's and it's so important to get like a good coach, because if you,
Absolutely.
I mean, it's It's just rough. It's rough when you, because I mean, I'm assuming you're paying this person money, and then to get that kind of coaching is ridiculous. People work very hard for their money. I mean, you're a nurse, I'm a nurse. Like we work very hard for the money that we make, and it's like to give it to somebody to coach and then not get anything out of it is really frustrating, especially if they ghost you. It's almost like a slap in the face, It's not even no communication is the worst.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. She had like
Rough.
messaged me after and she's like, "Hey, do you mind writing me like client testimonial?" I was like, "Hey, no, I'm all set." Like found it. I did not even wait a day. I
Hmm.
was with a new coach the day after show day, started my reverse that day.
I'm
And I was
sure
like,
you were
yeah,
pissed.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm not gonna leave you a testimonial. Thank you, but no.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, but as far as the season, that's exciting to have your first season go so well. Did they did well, how can I put this? Did you get any feedback? I'm sure your coach, Brittany, had feedback for you, but did you get any feedback from like judges or anything like that? I don't know what they would, want you to continue to improve on, or was it mostly from Brittany?
Yeah, no, we got off stage and you got to talk to the head judge right away. So we filed off. I went, got in line, and I asked him, what do you think I need to work on? Especially because we made a lot of changes. I got feedback after Dave Lieberman's as well, just to kind of see what the comparison between the two would be. So first time it was just get tighter, tighter everywhere, but like your shape is there. I
Right.
work with a really incredible posing coach who also is part of our team as well, Victoria
Mhm.
Carter.
Okay.
They were like, you guys have King Kong energy on the stage. Like you look like polished professionals. Change nothing.
Mhm.
Bring that. Just be leaner. So we came in about 7 pounds leaner for Ben Wieters. And when I'd gotten off the stage and talked to the head judge there, he just basically said, no more muscle on your glutes, just more depth, and then a little bit more muscle to my delts. And then I needed to also change my tan because my
Mm,
tan, I don't know if it was the pH of my skin, did not love the tan that we had used or the tanning company that was there
yeah.
had used. So I, instead of looking bronzed, I was just like dark and it kind of
Yeah.
muddied everything. He was like, if your tan was just slightly different, that would have been the difference between another placing as well.
It's interesting how like just those little things like posing and tan and will make a huge difference because you can bring an incredible physique to the stage, but if those things are off, it's gonna make a huge difference. You can drop multiple placings just from that. I remember just last year when Regan Grimes competed, it was like he brought a phenomenal physique, but his tan was off, and it was just he didn't look good, and it is it's a muscle contest, but it's also a pageant, so it's like you have to get all these things right, to get to place where you the highest you can place.
Absolutely. I tell
Yeah.
people that all the time. People who don't understand, especially clients where I work, they're like, wait, so are you going and like lifting and showing them how much you can like bench press or something?
Mhm.
I'm like, no, no, no. It's just at that point when your show day is truly just a muscles pageant. You stand up there
Right,
and show all the work that you've done.
right,
Look cute
right.
in a bikini. That's it.
Yeah, so let me see here. So 7 pounds is a lot, especially like for bikini and on a frame like yours. So did you truly had 7 pounds to lose to be able to come in that tight, or did you lose some muscle with that?
I honestly can't. We take measurements, obviously, of course.
Mhm.
I have, I would say, I'm 27, so I think my muscle maturity is really, it's there.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
Britt just does a really good job knowing kind of, we knew going into Ohio, we didn't want to come in 100% because there was about 4.5 weeks to hold if we were to come fully conditioned
Right.
into that show to Ben Wieters, and that would have just been too taxing on my body at that point. So she brought me in a little soft, knowing that that would have, and obviously it worked. We got the overall there and everything.
Hmm.
So knowing that that was okay for there, but I definitely had more, like we were thinking when I got into Ohio, I think I was like 124, 125, and she wanted me to be 115 for Ben Wieters just to be the tightness that they wanted.
Uh-huh.
My body definitely kind of hit a point where it didn't want to do that. And it wasn't until I flew out to Alexandria and was like able to be by myself, not stressing about work, not stressed about any
Hmm.
outside factors, I just like kept dropping peak week. And
Yeah.
that's where the majority of it came from. So a lot of it was probably more so inflammation.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe could have, did you drop water weight as well? Like a decent amount of water weight or not so much?
We didn't really manipulate water like this time around. I was definitely loading with water, I would say from like peak week was Friday to Friday. So I'd say Friday to maybe like Monday, Tuesday. I was just drinking my normal gallon. We were going to drop it down to like 70 ounces. And the day
Hmm.
that we decided to do that, we were like, actually, no, just because of how de-stressed I was being there. She was like, all right, no, actually just do whatever we are doing is working. Like, let's not change any of
Right.
that at
Right.
all.
That, yeah, that's kind of my motto too. A lot of people like to do kind of kooky stuff like the last like week, even like if they look great the entire time, and then all of a sudden the last week they want to do some like weird stuff. And I'm like, no, if you look great and you've been doing what you've been, keep doing it. Keep doing it
Yeah.
all the way down to the show. Like, there's no reason to change anything. But I think some people think, oh, I'm gonna do a little more. I'm gonna do a little extra. I'm gonna change some things up. And more often than not, it kind of like ruins your look. So,
100%.
yeah.
Something even down or as small as the first peak week, we pulled, obviously, as most people do, pulled all artificials, kept
Mhm.
everything very clean, whole food ingredients. And I learned from that that my body does not love that. So, second time
Mm,
around, I kept my protein powder in, my cream of rice, which I do like the flavor
right.
gain cream of rice with artificials in it. So just being able to like digest that and not as much rice and chicken, switching up those sources, we were like, oh shoot, okay, this actually does
Yeah,
work
yeah.
better.
So you learn your body, then and then run with it. Yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
That's good. I'm looking at some of the pictures. Let me see if I can share it and we can talk about it. One second. Like, I'm looking at your Instagram. I think this is the last show that you had. One second. Yeah, there it goes. Instagram. There we go. Screen. You didn't?
Yes, there we go.
Okay. So this was the last show that you did, right? Where you got the top three?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It's a good, I mean, you got a good structure for sure. A lot of potential.
Yeah, yeah. That was the best thing to hear is the potential was there and it wasn't like we were in the complete wrong category or doing
Right.
the wrong thing. We just had to now refine and fine tune. I've only been with Brit since January, so we haven't
Right.
even had a full year to like learn my body and learn that together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is like, I mean, to get an overall in top three in your first year is an amazing, is an amazing accomplishment. And is this the one where you said your tan was a little off?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can kind of see it in the pictures. I know pictures don't show everything, it's not like being there live, but I can kind of see it a little bit in here too.
Even the night before I had gotten my tan and my aunt was there with me and she's like, "You're a lot darker this time than you were last time." And it was the same exact tanning company.
Was it
I
a
don't
spray tan?
Yeah,
It was a
we
spray
did it
tan. Okay.
through Olympia Tan. So they were at Dave
Hmm.
Lieberman's and they were also at Ben Weider's. So I kept my prep the same in terms of like my
Hmm.
skin prep. It just for whatever reason did not love my body that week.
Yeah, yeah, it happens.
It
It's
does.
just one of those things. Yeah. All you can do is your best, Yeah,
Exactly.
but that's amazing that so the thing is that's, to for your first year to hear the feedback of you're in the right category and you have a lot of potential, that's what you want, because that means that now you can really like buckle down, especially in the off season, and start really improving on, where you need to go from here.
100%, which is so exciting.
Yeah. So what's the plan in the off season? How do you like generally train in the off season? Do you lift heavy? Do you do a lot of volume?
So, I mean, I did a year of powerlifting in between kind of my last time on stage and this time around.
Oh, really?
So
Interesting.
all of last year. and I competed in powerlifting competitions. I really learned through that what my strength actually could be. So even in prep, it was like up until peak week, I was still, RDLing 80 pounds. I
Mhm.
don't change necessarily that because I think if you can control the weight and you can control some heavy ass weight,
Hmm.
all it's going to do is help kind of maintain as much muscle as possible. So right now, we just made our first tweaks to my training program at least, and we're kind of adding in some drop sets on glutes or on delts, maybe one or two exercises to just kind of
Hmm.
add a little bit more volume to those areas in terms of training, but goal is to obviously keep the weight as heavy as possible and utilize my reverse and how much food I'm eating right now and really kind of taking the energy that I have because if I could do it without energy and I was on trace carbs for a long time
Hmm.
and still able to do that. So if I can do that on trace carbs, I should be able to push even heavier with more volume. Um,
Yeah.
in the
Are
off
you,
season.
do you have a target weight that you're trying to reach? Is there like a weight where you're like, I gotta get to this weight, or is that not so much the thought process here?
Not really so much. I mean, I
Mhm.
think right now, just based off of kind of what we had talked about, goal is we have some game plans set up, kind of a timeline. And right now we're focused on just getting healthy. So whatever that weight looks like would be
Mhm.
great. But my body seems to put on muscle really well. I'm definitely a hard cutter for sure.
Mhm.
That's been why I had to take so long in terms of my prep. But there's not like a specific weight or anything. We're just trying to like fill out my frame in the areas that they want us to. And then hopefully next time going into prep, I'm not going to have to lose as much as I did this time around. So the weight won't necessarily matter as much.
Mhm. That's interesting that you say that. I'm the same way. I put on muscle like crazy. I mean, I can gain muscle just by looking at food and looking at weights, but to cut, it takes everything, and it's just the genetics that I was, given, and so
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Not for lack of effort. It's like, it's
right,
crazy. You see people who can do 20 minutes of cardio and shred, and you're like, all right, I'm here
yeah.
in my sweatsuit for
Or like
hours.
or like people that post like eating like high calorie days and they're like and they're just shredded and I'm like there's no way if I ate that I would never make it to the stage. So it's
No, I had a teammate. It was great this season too. All of my shows, I got to compete with at least two other girls for my team. And another one was Bikini. She was eating like muffins on the day of. Like she was just trying to stay full. And I'm like, girl, I haven't had a meal in 6 hours. It's
that's
crazy.
that's terrible like because well it's like you're sitting there just kind of starving and people around you are just gobbling down food.
It was
uh
tough, but I'm not a food focused person, so it really wasn't that
mhm.
that bad. But I was
Yeah,
just like, wow, it's the nerd in me, the science behind it. I'm like, the human body is crazy that yours
yeah.
operates that way and mine operates this way.
Right, right. Yeah, that's funny. So do you keep up with Bikini as far as like in the IFBB and the shows and all that, like what's going
Oh
on?
yeah.
So what do you think about this last Olympia? So you have, like so for a few years the conversation was talked about like how every division, including Bikini, is getting kind of harder, bigger, harder, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And now this year they go with Maureen again, second time
Hmm.
winning the Olympia. And she takes it. She has a more of a softer look. And Laura Lee, I think, is who most people were like curious to know how well she would do. Didn't do as well. I think she got like fourth, sixth, or something
Fourth
like
or
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. So like, what are your thoughts about the division direction? Like what would you like to see happen? Like, can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. I remember sitting there watching the Olympiad. I'm like texting. My posing
Hmm.
coach is also literally one of my best friends. So we're texting
Hmm.
back and forth. I'm like, girl, it's like Ashlyn or Jazzy. Like, this is going to be crazy. Because I saw their physiques and
Right.
objectively, I was like, that's Bikini. Like, that right
Hmm.
there is what I have always been under the impression of. I felt like Laura Lee obviously came in like a little watery and soft. And I
Hmm.
followed her whole prep through YouTube and through Instagram, and she finally actually just came out with a video talking all about peak week and what has been going on in her life, so it made sense.
Hmm.
But I was definitely shocked to hear that it was Maureen, not because she didn't deserve it. I mean, she stepped on that stage and commanded the whole crowd, and that just kind of goes right back to what we were talking about before, where
Hmm.
it could be something as simple as posing, and it's not that Ashlyn or Jazzy weren't incredible posers as well. It was just something about the way that Maureen kind of got on that stage.
Right.
But in terms of where it's going, I'm honestly going to be pretty interested to see where it's going, because I think obviously with the introduction of Fit Model, that's kind
Yeah.
of what the old OG bikini was, and now bikini is a lot of bit denser. There's a lot of girls dropping down for wellness into bikini because they can't keep up with the wellness standards, but they fit perfectly in bikini if they
Hmm.
just lose a little quad or, bring up their delta a little bit more. So I'm definitely going to be interested to see where it goes, because I think even since the introduction of Fit Model, their standards have even kind of evolved from the beginning of this year to now. You're seeing different physiques awarded in that. So it's like, what does that mean for bikini?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of variables, right? And
Mhm.
so my views, and we all have different, views on what we think bikini should be. For me, Maureen eh, I like her look is the look that I prefer. Not to say no, Laura Lee or anyone else doesn't look good. They're between all of them. There's like it's like splitting hairs. So so we're
100%.
talking about like minute differences, but different structure, sometimes different kind of overall looks, but minute differences in well, who's better and who's not, who's peaked better and so forth. So I like Maureen, but I was not expecting her to win just because I didn't think that that was the look that they would reward ultimately, like to the very top. I thought she would do well. I thought she would be top
Sure.
five, but I did not think she would take the title. I just didn't think that that's what they were wanted to see, but I was wrong. And so now it's just really interesting because so where do you go from here? And I feel bad for some of the girls. So bikini is a little interesting because every time you have a new Olympia champion that's drastically different, like if they pick a softer or a harder look, it means that the next year there's going to be a lot of girls that are going to be chasing specifically that look. And
Yes.
so so they keep yo-yoing, and so I'm just kind of curious on, how that's gonna like play out, especially like you're talking about Fit Model. I have a good friend, Julia. She lives in the Philippines. She was too I think she was a little too small for bikini. And when Fit Model came out, she fit perfectly. She got her pro card. It was great for her. I mean, she's got a good look, but I'm curious to see like where Fit Model is going to go because, as you know, they all evolve. Like they never stay where they start. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious.
I follow like the IFBB Pro too, so all of the shows that have happened
Mm,
since the Olympia, just given that the point system is kind of re-implemented again. Obviously, a lot of these
mhm.
pros are going out and like competing and trying to get as many points under their belt as possible. And even that, I feel like what they're awarding at the pro shows is drastically different than what was awarded at the Olympia. So it
Right.
still makes it kind of, I think what they're awarding definitely to me, and again, I'm not a coach, I'm simply just, an athlete. But I think that they're still staying within the realm of what the bikini criteria is in terms of like we want
Mhm.
balance and like you don't have to have these washboard abs, but we want obliques with a little
Right.
bit of division there. I think that that is consistently being done, but I've seen a lot more harder looks awarded at the pro level, even following this past Olympia, which is interesting.
Yeah. You said at the pro level?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to a girl who was an NPC bikini competitor, and she was saying at the regional levels, it's like sometimes there's a disparity between the regionals and like the nationals and the pros, and so
Mhm.
they reward different looks, and it's tough. I think the judges have a hard. Bikini is a tough division to judge. it's everyone looks great, especially at those high levels, small differences. Like
Yeah.
who do you give it to? It's yeah, it's exciting at the same time though, right? Because I mean, because you don't the one thing that the bikini always had that the other divisions didn't have, like in the with the men, although now this is changing, but with the men, you always had like Ronnie winning 8, then Jay winning like 4 or 5, then like, like
Yeah.
and so forth, and Phil winning like 8 or 7, whatever he won. And so there wasn't a lot of excitement because people would come in and you would know who would win. But
Yeah.
bikini was different because bikini was exciting because you don't know who's going to win. And so I think in that sense, bikini's got an up on all the other divisions for sure.
I mean, that's what makes me excited is knowing, or like at least keeps me as passionate as I am about the sport is okay, cool. I got my feedback. Now I get to execute knowing no matter what, and no matter what division you're in or category you're in, you're gonna, even if you're a winner, you're still gonna have feedback. You're still gonna have to kind of do that. So knowing next year the standard could be completely different, and I'm gonna need to then work with Britt to tweak and figure out, okay, so how do we now achieve that? To me, it's cool. Like it's all a science experiment. But it keeps me interested for sure.
Yeah. So, kind of doing a little jump back to your job. You're a nurse as well. What kind of nursing do you do, if you don't mind me asking?
Right now, I tell people I do pink nursing. I do injectables, so I am no longer bedside, or
Okay.
doing the nursing that I was doing when I first started. Yeah.
Hey, hey, I don't blame you. That every time I go in, I worked yesterday and I'm like, why am I here? Like, what is this?
Yes.
Like, what
Yes.
is this? Uh,
That is because you're an emergency nurse, right?
yes, yeah, yeah. And so there's a lot of psych going on,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what am I doing here? But at some point that's gonna change. But right now I'm there. But yeah, so how does your nursing now work with your schedule in bodybuilding? Is your job pretty flexible? Allows you to train hard and doesn't put too much stress on you, or how is it?
I would say honestly, yeah, that it
Hmm.
probably, I still was doing bedside nursing when I did my first show, and being
Hmm.
able to see the difference between what I was capable of doing protocol wise then versus now was
Hmm.
definitely an eye opener. Now we have very set schedules. I mean, everybody's coming to me different than you. They're already in a good mood. They're leaving and they're happier than when they came to see me because their face is going to be frozen in 2 weeks, or they have new lips or new cheeks, or
Right.
they got a facial or something. So we're only open at my location 10 to 6. So I get in at 9:30. If I don't have clients from like,
Hmm.
let's say 3 to 6, and I decide, hey, especially deep into prep, I was like, all right, I am tired. I would get up at like 4 a.m. to do fasted cardio, go work, and then train after work. So if I had a day that I could take advantage of the fact that no one was on my books, I was hightailing it out of there and going to hit my training before I crashed for the day. So it definitely works really well. They're super flexible. I only work
Yeah.
either 3, maybe 4 days a week. Sometimes my
Amazing.
schedule rotates. So the days off truly feel like a day off. And then when I'm at work, I'm happy to go to work. I don't have that same like dread that I had going bedside.
Sure, sure. That's amazing. That's great for your career goals in bodybuilding.
Oh, 100%.
So this is a totally personal question. It has nothing to do with bodybuilding, but how did you move from bedside to injections? Was there certain certificates that you had to get? Did you just apply for the job and learn on job training? Like how did that go?
It's like a mix of both. You can't
Hmm.
necessarily, I mean, you can. There's so many ways around it. I get the call now that I've been doing this for 4 years. I have people ask me all the time, like, what is the best step or process to do it? So I would say, go take the class. The course is part online, part didactic. You literally go do your 1 to 2 weeks online. You go in person and you're injecting that day, and you're injecting
Hmm.
real people. So you're getting the hands on. And then they say, hey, cool, you know what you're doing now. You can either open up your own business or go work for a med spa or whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, it's definitely a little nerve-wracking. You're sitting there kind of like clenching everything in your body, like, I
Yeah.
can just inject people's faces now. That's scary.
Right. Right.
But I was lucky enough to run into a med spa owner, and I had kind of groveled, and it was while I was still at bedside. was like,
Uh-huh.
listen, I have this certificate. I got it 6 months ago. I don't want to lose the skills, but I have nowhere to go with it. Can I at least like learn from you? So I worked and kind of shadowed for free
Hmm.
under him for about like 4 months unpaid. And then finally he's like, you know what, let's open up your schedule. You know what you're doing, you care. And then it took a matter of like a month after that. He's like, all right, I want to take a full step back. I want to be a business owner. I don't want to inject. Do you want to go full time? I was like, I will put my 2 weeks in right now.
That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's amazing. What a turn of events. You just
Crazy.
got, yeah, that's amazing. So the guy that was you were shadowing, it became just the owner. He's also a provider of some sort, a nurse or a physician of some sort.
Yeah, so he was, I don't work there anymore, but
Mhm.
he was the business owner, but he was also the only full-time provider at that
Mm,
point. And so
got it.
trying to run, he had 3 locations. He's like, I'm literally running 3 places,
Yeah.
injecting full-time at one. It's just too much.
Yeah. How as far as clients, do you get like what would you say majority of your clients, are there any like competitors as your clients, or mainly it's you know, like moms, like soccer moms and stuff?
Honestly, I would say it's a fair mix of both,
Hmm.
especially being in the gym. My gym people know what I do for work, so I've done like Botox parties and stuff like that
Hmm.
at the gym actually. But I would say like on a day to day, it's usually like my population could be anywhere from 20 to I think my oldest client is like 80 years old.
Hmm. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it definitely varies. If I had to kind of pigeonhole it and say this is the one category, it's definitely more so like moms coming
Yeah.
in, wanting to like at least take 30 minutes to themselves to do something for themselves once every 3 months, if that.
Hmm.
So that would be typically my
So,
population.
so is that how long generally it lasts? About, I know, I was told some, and I correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of that depends on your metabolism, like how fast you metabolize the injection. But does it
Yeah.
usually take about 3 months, once every 3 months or so?
It should last you 3 to 4 months. It depends on the products. They're all literally based off of the same root toxin. It's just
Hmm.
different companies have now taken it, patented their own version. So for me, like Botox is what everybody knows. That's just one brand. Botox does not work on me because I'm active the same way it usually doesn't. No, I shouldn't say usually. It doesn't work the best for males because you baseline have faster metabolism or people who are
Hmm.
marathon runners. So
Hmm.
there's a different product called Dysport. That's what I use because I get at
Interesting.
least 3 months out of it, whereas my Botox I would get a week, maybe a month.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had no idea that how much you exercise plays a factor into it. Hmm.
it's crazy, insane.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you and you might not have any, like thoughts about this, but and I know in bikini this is probably not a thing, but as far as like synthol and supplements like that, where a lot of times in open men open and male divisions, they use a lot of that. I guess you could say a lot. It depends on who it is. But do you feel like those kind of injections are safe, or are they kind of risky? I don't, and again, I don't know if you even encounter something like that, but
I haven't encountered it. I mean,
Mhm.
educate me though. Synthol, what is
It's
the
well, so it's like a volumizing agent. It's just like oil and things they put in to kind of volumize the muscle to make it a little bit more bigger, a little more.
oh
So you're not aware at all. And see,
no.
that's what I was thinking, because in bikini they don't do that. There's no reason. But in men's bodybuilding, a lot of times they can sight enhance certain body parts, and
That's
some
crazy.
some people do it well and you can't tell, and other people you can tell, and then it doesn't look very good. So yeah,
I mean,
interesting.
I think it's similar to craziest thing I'd ever experienced was this year going to a show and seeing somebody on stage who very clearly had a BBL.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it works the same way. Obviously, I know it's not long lasting. I'm assuming the site enhancement isn't gonna
Hmm.
stick around forever.
Right, 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 right.
Um, but I mean, if
Well,
it's
I don't know if you remember a while ago, I don't know if it was a year or 2 years ago, in the wellness, and again, I don't know how much you keep up with wellness, but there's a competitor, Dr. Sunny Andrews. She's fairly popular, but she was significantly marked down because it looked like she went from, just normal like training, glutes and so forth, and then the next show that she did the following year, she obviously had significant work done on her glutes, and and it was she was significantly marked down, and I haven't seen her compete since. And that's why I think you have to be very careful with things like that, because as a competitor, because you're putting it in and you think, okay, well, this is going to look better because, like, for example, in wellness, right?
Yeah.
You need bigger glutes. So you're like, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have bigger glutes. But it doesn't always translate well, to the stage. And so yeah, it can down, it can backfire on you, I guess I should
Oh,
say.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think it does stink because to me, when I saw that, I was like, that is such a bummer, not to discredit whatever work that competitor had actually done.
Right. Mhm.
Who knows? They could have had the same protocol as me and
Right.
trained and worked their butt off. However, would their physique look the way that it did if they hadn't gotten the work done? And it's like that is the sport. Like we are doing the sport of bodybuilding. Like it,
Hmm.
even if you don't have the glutes, you don't have the delts, the whole point is then, okay, perfect, take an off season and grow those things, not
Right.
artificially enhance it. And like you said,
Right.
it rarely, if people have work done, like in that respect, I mean, implants is a whole different topic. Like, I think
Hmm.
that can honestly enhance your physique and help balance you out, but you don't need them by any means.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I think when it comes to like a BBL or, spot enhancing, it's kind of like it 9 times out of 10 does not translate the way that you want it to on stage.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't because it's still a muscle contest, and the glutes that they're looking for are still muscular glutes.
Yes.
They're not like everyday kind of, uh, if you know what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say. So,
absolutely.
yeah, so they're looking for a particular look, and so like you kind of end up losing that a little bit. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. That's crazy. You just taught me something brand new though. I'm gonna
Yeah, there
fall
you
down
go.
a rabbit hole
I
tonight.
know. So are you so you're doing just natural shows at this point?
Right now, or this past
Hmm.
season I did. This upcoming season, no.
Okay. Okay. And well, that'll be interesting. You'll get new competition.
Yeah.
You'll get into a different pool of competitors. That'll be
Yes.
exciting. Yeah.
I'm super pumped. I mean, the first ever show that I did years ago was just a regular old NPC show. But I think just to be able to see, where I stack up and just there's more opportunity
Sure.
in going to the untested shows. It just lines up very well with all of like my outside of bodybuilding life this upcoming
Mm.
year to be able to kind of hit the circuit the way that I want to.
Right.
We have to make that pivot, but I'm not afraid to make that pivot by any means.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, the natural shows, I just recently earlier today had a show with a natural wellness competitor, and the natural shows are there's more of them now. They're growing them, but I still think at this point, and I don't ever see natural shows overlapping the untested shows. I think it's just people are just more interested in the best physiques that they can see,
Yes.
and that's just the way it goes. So
And you
yeah.
do see some people with crazy physiques, like genetic freaks at natural shows,
Right, right.
but that's
Not
not the
typical.
mass
Yeah,
population.
yeah.
And so and the people that do look like that, you can go and hold your own on an untested stage,
Right,
especially
right.
at a regional level. Nationals, obviously, as we saw yesterday and today, it's insane. The physiques that are hitting the stage are truly mind-boggling. But I mean, it's nice to be able to go and see how you stack up against people like that.
Right, right. Very true. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I know you got a busy schedule, so I really greatly appreciate you coming on.
Oh,
So
thank you for having me.
excited.
This was
Yeah,
fun.
exciting to have you. Yeah. I wish you well on your next season. I'm sure I'll have you back on
Thank
again.
you.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
When you get your pro card, when you go to the Olympia, like, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So it'll be exciting. If anybody wanted to, have an episode with you in a podcast or maybe contact you for some other reason, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Definitely my Instagram. That's like
Okay.
where I'm the most active. I post on TikTok, but it's just kind of like I don't want to call it shit posting because I talk about my experience through bodybuilding, but Instagram is definitely the easiest way to find me, which is at
Awesome.
Tianna_R.
Awesome. And guys, I'm going to link everything at the bottom just to make it a little bit easier for you to find Tiana. And again, Tiana, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best. And
Thank you. Thank
take
you for
care.
having me. You as
Yeah.
well.
Have a good evening. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.